ఇప్పుడు వీళ్ళు ఇంకా ఎవరైనా వచ్చారా ఇంకా రాలేదా?
ఇంకా ఇంకా రాలేదు, స్టార్ట్ అయిపోయింది. వచ్చారండి, ముగ్గురు ఉన్నారు.
వాసుదేవ. హరి ఓం. శం నో మిత్రస్యం వరుణః శం నో భవత్వర్యమా శం న ఇంద్రో బృహస్పతిః శం నో విష్ణురుక్రమః నమో బ్రహ్మణే నమస్తే వాయో త్వమేవ ప్రత్యక్షం బ్రహ్మాసి త్వామేవ ప్రత్యక్షం బ్రహ్మ వదిష్యామి ఋతం వదిష్యామి సత్యం వదిష్యామి తన్మామవతు తద్వక్తారమవతు అవతు మాం అవతు వక్తారం. ఓం శాంతి శాంతి శాంతి. సర్వవేదార్థతత్వజ్ఞం వేదార్థ ప్రతిపాదకం Puranasara Sarvajñam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Prachya Paschatya Deshanam Samanvaya Vidhayakam Shantam Saumya Gunopetam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to all our brothers and sisters. So we are here now together once again to continue our study of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So in the last class, still we have been discussing about the obstacles which we come across while we are on the path of practicing yoga. So we have so far discussed about all the obstacles. In the last session, at the end, we have been discussing about the seventh one, Bhranti Darsana. That means illusion. This illusion is also one of the big obstacles. Illusion is caused also due to glamour. So this Bhranti Darsana means, Bhranti means illusion. Darsana means vision. So a vision which is based on illusion, that is Bhranti Darsana, that is this obstacle. So in the name of Divya Jnana, Theosophy, or in the name of spiritual experiences, some people are stuck up in this type of obstacle because they are influenced by glamour. So their vision is distorted. It is caused due to illusion. Illusion means when there is something, instead of viewing and understanding it as it is, they see some other thing. When they see the actual thing which is there, but due to this illusionary vision, they superimpose some other thing. So therefore, they have no real vision of what is existing there. This is because their mind makes a wrong understanding of what is there before us. The example given for this by the ancient teachers is that while, for example, when we are walking and when it is dark, when it happens that our legs, our feet come into contact with a rope there, which is laying on the ground. So when our foot touches the rope, then immediately we feel that, oh, it is a snake. Actually, there is no snake, there is rope only. But due to illusion, because their mind is filled with illusion, so their vision is influenced by illusion. Therefore, when there is rope, then they feel that there is snake and they get frightened. There are people, when they get this fear due to this illusion, because it is dark, they could not see, but they can feel something is there when their foot happened to touch the rope. So they felt that they laid their foot upon a snake. So then they get frightened. When they get frightened, they get all the symptoms one gets after a snake bite without any bite or anything. Suppose at that time there is a little thorn along with the rope. So when the thorn has pricked into the foot, already they are thinking that their foot has touched the snake, and then where there is a prick from the thorn, then they feel that, oh, I am bitten by a snake. So when this idea comes into the mind, then they get all the symptoms which a person gets after a snake bite. This happens many times. How is it possible that they get these symptoms of a snake bite without a snake bite? It is because they got this fright, this fear in the mind because of illusion. That is Bhranti Darsana. This is the obstacle. So the same thing happens in our life also. When we see the persons and make the transactions, then what happens is we are in contact with the person, with the structure, with the form of the body of the person. And then we do not remember that this person is the same spark, has the same divine spark as we have. So we do not think of the indweller, the Lord, we see the person. So then what happens? Likes and dislikes, all these things will operate on our mind. So that is what we are experiencing in our daily life often. So we do not reach the real existence of the person as the indweller of the Lord, but we get attracted and attached to the external belongings of that person. So then we get stuck up. We fall into glamour. So then our behavior is distorted. For example, when somebody is in a problem, in a trouble, so we have to help that person. When we try to help that person, to get out of the problem, then we should remember that our transaction is with the inner person. Then we do not get into illusion. Otherwise, if we get identified with the external aspects of that person and we do not remember the inner light, the Lord consciousness in person, then we feel that we love the person, but it is not really love. We get also emotional and we get also depressed, or we shed tears, we get into misplaced affections with that person. So like this, we are distracted. We are distracted from the real vision of the person. We are stuck up with the form aspect. We see the external form of the person and we get attached there and we do not remember the indweller, the Lord consciousness. So it is an obstacle. This is because our mind has got into a wrong measure, not right measure. You remember, we have studied 5 types of measures explained by Patanjali in the very beginning to explain the behavior of the mind. So one of them is a wrong measure. But the wrong measure can be applied in a right manner when we can use it in a, even all our transactions in our daily life are based on wrong measures. But we can make use of this wrong measure in a right manner. So, for example, when I see my wife, if I am only attached to the form aspect, then I will only think her as my wife, and then all my likes and dislikes and emotions are aroused, and I am stuck up. But in fact, is she my wife or is she a human being? And is she a part of the Lord consciousness, the indweller? So that is the right understanding. But I can treat her, I can transact with her as my wife, which is a relationship. But at the same time, when I remember that she is also a part of the Lord consciousness indweller, that means we have allowed our mind to act with her on the relationship, but not forgetting about the indweller, the actual existence, actual form of existence as the Lord consciousness. Then we are not influenced or stuck up by the illusion. If I remember only as my wife, then I'll be influenced by the likes and dislikes and emotions and all these things. And my behavior, my transaction with her is based on this, not on the Lord consciousness inside. So this will be an obstacle. That is what is called Bhranti Darshana. Last time we have discussed this also, but once again, and the eighth one also we have just mentioned last time, Alabdha Bhumikatva. It means not able to gain a grip. Grip means, when you hold something, you should have a grip to hold. So like this, we must have a grip, a hold on our senses and mind. So that is what we attain during the practice of yoga. But what we come across in our effort, in our practice, is that we have been trying for many years, for a long time, to gain a grip over our senses and mind. But we find it always difficult. Why? How to get over this obstacle, because this is also an obstacle. Unless we gain a grip, a control, unless our senses and mind are made to follow our instruction, we cannot make a further step in the practice of yoga. But what happens? So, why we fail to have this is because, Patanjali has explained in the beginning, we must make use of abhyasa. Abhyasa is repeated application. Repeat the effort, repeat the application. What is the application? To deal with our senses and mind. So, if for some years we keep practicing, but after that our practice slowly is diluted, then what happens is that, so for many years we may feel that, oh, we are able to control our senses and mind. Therefore, we feel that, oh, now we reached a stage where our senses and mind are under control. Then, if we get this feeling that we have already got a control, then our application of the instrument abhyasa, we lose that, we stop this application. Then what happens? We fall back, because as long as we are continuing, it is possible for us to have a grip, a control. But when we stop practicing, when we stop applying, then what happens? Then it will be difficult because of this obstacle. So, many people try to concentrate the mind on certain things, but then it is found to be very difficult. Concentrate the mind. The more we try to concentrate, the more we find it impossible. Because that is not the right procedure. Concentration. That is why we fail. So that is why very often, even after some years, when we prescribe something to the mind, but not pursuing it, not applying abhyasa, vairagya, then what happens is that we are stuck up due to this obstacle. It is because our constant effort is lacking. So throughout the whole life, we have to keep applying. We should not stop this application. For example, when you are traveling in your car, when you are driving the car, you have to keep observing and following everything carefully until you reach the destination. Suppose if you feel that your destination is at 100 kilometers, and if you feel that for 99 kilometers I have been driving very carefully, following all the injunctions, it is just still only 1 kilometer left. Now I need not make all these things. Just I keep driving without following this. Then what happens? Even if you have followed for 99 kilometers, in the last 1 kilometer you have not followed, therefore you will make an accident. You cannot reach the goal, the destination. So, up to the level of mind, so we have to remember that our effort in the yoga abhyasa, in the practice of yoga, it starts our effort with the body, then with the senses, with the mind. So at all these three levels, this should be for the whole life. We have to keep applying. The moment you stop application, it will fall back. But when we reach the higher plane than the mind, what is it? It is the buddhic plane. So the plane of intelligence, vijnanamaya, a buddhic plane. So there, all the practice, all the abhyasa, all this progress what we made in this life, when it has reached the buddhic plane, then it will never go waste. It will be continued even to the next life also. That is how it is explained by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord said that when you made any effort on the higher plane, Buddhic plane, it will never go waste. Even if one leaves the body in the middle of, before attaining the goal, reaching the goal, that means getting into stabilizer, into yoga, before that, if he leaves the body, But the Lord said, what you have practiced until then it will never go waste, because it has reached the higher plane. So in the next birth, all the type of adverse conditions in the life, they will not anyway prevent this person to make a forward step in the yogic practice, because he is on the intellectual, buddhic plane because of that. So therefore, we have to keep repeating its application. That means abhyasa we have to always keep on. Then you can create a situation in your life that no obstacle can influence you in making a progress. It is what is explained also in the Bhagavad Gita. And the ninth obstacle that is explained by Patanjali in this aphorism is, ninth obstacle is called anavasthitatva. That means inconsistency in our effort. No consistency. We should have consistent effort. When there is no consistency in our practice, in our application, then what happens is, for some years, we make some sort of practice based on our emotions. So for some time, we make the practice very vigorously, with much force, because of the influence of Rajoguna. And after some time, it will be just opposite. We lose interest on the practice and leave off because we are influenced by inertia, tamoguna. So we are dragged either to either of the sides. On one side it is Rajoguna, on other side tamoguna. So by the influence of Rajoguna, we apply much force which is not required. So we have to keep always on sattva and balance. Otherwise, for some time, very intensely we make the practice, and after some time we lose interest and we lose the trust on the practice, and then we stop doing it. So therefore, this so when we many times it happens that while we are on the path, while we are on the practice, after some time we get such a situation where we lose our interest and our trust on the procedure and we stop. So our progress is blocked because of this. So we must have very strong trust and consistency to continue our effort. What is the reason for this type of obstacle? Anavasthitatva. The reason is that the mind is occupied by more than one program at a time. That is the reason. Yeah? You see, when we have to do some work, we can do one thing at a time. We have to complete one work, what we have to do, and take up another work which we have to do. But what our mind does with us is that our mind conceives too many programs at a time. But for the body, it is not possible to attend to more than one program at a time. How is it possible? If you try to force your body due to your mind, because your mind is habituated because of Rajoguna, your mind keeps on making too many programs, more than one program at a time, and does not allow some time to complete one program. Then there will be pressure on your body. Because body is a physical matter and mind is not physical. So the body cannot have the same speed like the mind. It's not possible. That is what we see in many persons in their daily life. They make so many programs in the mind, and they are in a hurry to complete all the programs, but it is not possible. When you are in a hurry, how can you do that? For example, a student who is facing an examination is given a question paper. So he had to write answers to the questions. So this fellow read the question paper and felt that all the questions he can answer all the questions because all the questions are easy to be answered. Then what he has to do, he has to answer one by one. First he has to complete answering one question, then he has to pass to the next question. But this fellow, because of Rajoguna, the mind forces him to answer all the questions at a time, but that is not possible. So he starts with one question, answering one question, immediately his mind drives him to another question. He says, oh yes, first I have to, I will answer that question and then this question. So finally he gets into confusion, even though he knows perfectly the subject, even though he can answer all the questions, but due to this confusion, ultimately he cannot complete any of these questions to answer and he will fail in the examination. So this happens many times. The same thing in our life. We have to remember that even though the mind makes many programs at a time, we have to direct the mind to let the body complete one program and then take up another program. Body cannot cope up with the speed and proposals of the mind. So there are many proposals, many programs made by the mind. Therefore, what the Lord said in Bhagavad Gita is surrender your mind to the discriminative will in you. Buddhi. Buddhi means power of discrimination, the faculty of discrimination. He said, you surrender your mind to that faculty of discrimination. Then follow the instructions, what you receive from your buddhi. So let your mind follow what comes from buddhi. And then your mind will act properly and direct properly the working of the body. So, what we find generally in our life is when we make a proposal to do some good work, our mind, what it does is, our mind distracts us towards the many arrangements what we have to make than the actual work. We have to give importance to the actual work what we have to do. And all the other things we can just arrange. Not too much importance to that. But our mind, because of habit and because of the influence of rajas, keeps on making all this, distracting us towards other things than the what is important, what is the main work. From this there will be distraction. Distraction means dragging here and there to the unimportant things. Therefore, we are not able to cope up. We are not able to complete properly what we have taken up. That is what we experience very often in our daily life. So this obstruction is this ninth obstruction, which is responsible for that. We should always practice repeatedly, keep our mind towards one program at a time. We should not allow the mind to go to work on several programs at a time. But at the same time, we have to deal with the mind in a very tactful manner. Otherwise, your mind will not obey you. The mind will make a disobedience. Then there will be a problem. So, in a very clever manner, you have to make your mind follow your instruction and to focus on one program, and completing that one program, you can give next program to the mind. So that is what is required. So when these obstacles are not eliminated, then your progress in the practice of yoga is very much obstructed, and you cannot reach the goal very easy. Now we pass on to the next aphorism, aphorism 31. Let us see what he says in this aphorism. Dukkha Dhawarmanasya angame jayatva swasa praswasa vikshepa sahabhuvaha. So in the previous aphorism, he has explained 9 types of obstacles. Now, here he presents some types of distractions of mind. Vikshepa. Vikshepa means distracted functioning of mind. So what are these distractions that is he explaining in this aphorism? First he says dukkha. He says that all these distractions that arise in the mind, they are born along with 9 obstacles which were described in the previous aphorism. He said it is sahabhovaha. Sahabhovaha means born together, like brothers. So he has explained, he has presented 9 types of obstacles. Now he is presenting another type of obstacles at the level of mind, which are also like the brothers to the previous obstacles. Sahabhovaha. These are also born along with the previous obstacles. So wherever there is an inconsistency or distortion in the mind, then we should understand that it is because of one of these vikshepas. So first thing what is explained is dukkha. Dukkha means sorrow. Why one gets sorrow? Almost every human being experiences this at one or other stage in the life. Sorrow. This is also a vikshepa. When there is sorrow, then this sorrow will distract the mind from the right path. So these are on par with the 9 types of obstacles which are explained in the previous aphorism. So this dukkha or sorrow, this is the outcome or the result of some sort of disappointment. Suppose one fellow is making business. For many years he was very successful. He was earning good profits in his business, from his business. Very successful. And he got so much rich that he has all comforts. He has a big house and many cars and many people to serve him like this for 20 years, 25 years. It was like that. But one day, suddenly, he got a big loss in his business. So all these things, all these comforts and all these things have gone. Because when you have good income and profit and all these things, then you have all the comforts. But once you got a loss in business, you lost all this money and all these things. So what happens then? It creates a big disappointment. Then you'll get sorrow. Of course, one may say that, of course, it is quite natural that when we got a loss and such a big shock, unexpected shock due to this loss suddenly, oh, it is natural that one may get into sorrow. Okay. What Patanjali says is, it may be natural what you say, that you get sorrow, but it is a sort of chitta vikshepa. It has drawn your mind from the right path. It has dragged the mind away. So it is a vikshepa. So it has misplaced your mind from one right place to a wrong place. It has dragged it. Suppose he is the best friend of you who is in such situation. So you just met him and tried to encourage him to bring out of sorrow, because he is getting depressed and sorrowful and all these. So you wanted to encourage him by saying some words. If you say that, oh, don't worry, then what will be his reaction? He says, you may not worry, it is my problem. You tell me not to worry, but how I can be without worry, because I have a big problem, and you tell me that not to worry. But what you did is just you try to you give solace to him and encourage him. You are trying to encourage him. You are trying to give solace to him. But when you tell him that, oh, don't worry, you'll get these things again, these things will happen during the business, he will be angry. He says that I am already here in problem and I am in sorrow, and you say that these things are natural, these things will happen. What do you say that like that? He thinks that you are trying to increase his sorrow. You cannot understand that you are trying to console him. You are trying to console him, but he is more and more aggravated. He says that if you lose so much of money, suddenly you also will weep like me. He says, you are telling me not to get depressed. You are telling me all these things because you are in good situation. But if you are in the same situation, if you lose so much of money and you get a loss, you also will be like me. So how to console that fellow? Because yes, it is a fact that he got a loss, because he expected a profit like always. Every year he is getting profit, very good profit in business. But this year it happened that he got a loss by making some wrong step. He got a loss, total loss. So he is very much disappointed, depressed, and getting into sorrow because he did not expect this. But you are trying to encourage him. But so then how to bring solace in him, how to pacify him? Then how much is your loss? How much loss you got? Oh, he says, yeah, $10,000 I lost. Okay. Then if you say that, my friend, a few years ago I lost $50,000, 5 times more than you. So you must bear this. You must be courageous. Then this is like a homeopathic treatment. Similarity. Homeopathic medicine, what we apply is and similarity of symptoms. So here you have applied a homeopathic method. He got a loss of $10,000. He said, I got a loss of $50,000. What we can do? So my friend, keep courage. Then that fellow will cool down, come down. Because it is a homeopathic dose you have given in higher potency. You have given one dose in 10,000 CH or 50,000 CH, like that. You said, I got $50,000 I lost. You lost only $10,000 and you feel sorrow. You feel depressed for this. Then it works on him. So therefore, dukkha, sorrow, that is causing this chitta vikshepa, sorrow. It means your mind is drawn, it is dragged. So because nobody can, actually speaking, you can only encourage him. You can give solace to him, but you cannot cancel the loss. You cannot bring this back. Nobody can do that. You cannot bring what is lost for him. But what? It happens. Such things will happen. Unexpected things happen in the life. Some close friend or close relative, fellow, suddenly died in an accident or something. So what happens? He gets sorrow and depression. So sorrow or weeping and depression, all these things. So these are this is a chitta vikshepa. So what we have to do is that, what is the solution then? The solution is given in Bhagavad Gita by the Lord. Because in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was also in a depressed and sorrowful mood. He got despondent. While he was brought in between the two armies who are ready to fight, at the sight of all the relatives and friends on the opposite side, he felt despondent to fight with them. He felt sorrow, despondence, all these things. So then what the Lord said to him? The Lord explained that, why you weep? So what you need is what is called anudarsana. When you come across such type of situations in your daily life, you have to apply what is called anudarsana. That means you should not get identified with them. You have to look at them being above them. That is what is required, anudarsana. If you get identified with these things, then you are lost. So that is what he says. You have to work out not to allow your mind to get identified with those things. So when to have this anudarsana, what is required is you have to eliminate the obstacles. But you find that elimination of obstacles is not being possible. But what happened? What is it you have to do? We have to grow above them, that you are not influenced by them. So there are so many reasons your mind tries to locate so many reasons for this dukkha or sorrow. So what you have to practice then to grow above this situation? When you have such situation, like a loss, the business, or some closely related person have passed away, you cannot see him anymore. So in these situations, not to be influenced by sorrow, how we have to work it out practically? He says that through your inhalation and exhalation, you use pranava. It means utter the sound Om, which is there already hidden in your inhalation and exhalation. And you utter this sound, hearing to that, as explained before. then you will get into contact with the Lord consciousness. Then what happens? You will be stabilized in your real existence. Because when you got into contact with the Lord consciousness, then you are in your real existence. Then you are already, you have raised above the sorrow and such things. See? You got above this. That is the most practical and scientific way how to get over this chitta vikshepas, distractions of mind. What happened when you have uttered Om, the sound, and listening to the sound, and you have uttered this and practiced this, then your mind is absorbed. So it is surrendered to the discriminative will in you, buddhi. Then you are not influenced by sorrow anymore. A person who is in such condition, for example, he is also a person doing his business, and in the similar situation, he got a message that there is a big loss occurred. Then what is his reaction? He did not get into sorrow. He said, yes, okay, let us accept it and start now what we have to do. Let us do it. He will not weep. Huh? When we say this to anybody, they say, oh yes, it is easy to say, but it is not so easy to work out. Yes, it is not so easy to work out if you made such a proposal. Because you are making a proposal that it is not easy. So don't allow your mind to make such proposal. You try to follow it and apply it. When you are in such condition, then how will be the behavior of such person? So he will not just, he is not influenced or his mind is not distracted. But if the situation is there, then if it is that, then he may weep for that time, but not due to any sort of external influences or any sort of impressions about others. he will show his real behavior, but not a behavior which is false, basing on the impressions about others. So, for him, for such a person, all the when somebody praises him or somebody scolds him, uh, always you cannot expect that everybody will honor you. Sometimes you may have to face dishonor and criticism, all these things. Then, if you practice this, then you are not influenced by any of these things. That is what he says. You must be like that. You must be as how you are. Hmm? So, therefore, when you come across any situations, you should practice that your mind is not distracted by the influence of these things. That you have to practice it. Because this chitta vikshepa, this is also like the other obstacles what were explained before. And then another one, which is explained in this aphorism about our mind, is Dhawarmanasya. That means anxious mind. You see, some persons always feel anxious about what is going to happen. Some persons, when he goes to the office, his wife may be a little bit indisposed, and he went to the office, he has to work. But this fellow all the time thinks of his wife, and then feels anxious about her. How is she? How is she? How is... What you have to do, if it is really required so much that your presence should be there, then you will take a leave from the office and be there serving her. Otherwise, you can just arrange what is required and you can go to your work. She can manage, if she can manage. But when you have gone to the work and all the time thinking about how is my wife, what something might be happening, all this. So his mind is occupied with apprehensions. His mind is full of apprehension. He imagines. Because in his mind he has anxiety about his wife. So like this, many situations are there where he feels anxious. So this is what is called Dhawarmanasya. Suppose one day he gets a letter, a notice, a message from the tax department that you are asked to come and meet the officer there. Then this fellow will not sleep the whole night. He is asked to come and meet next day in the morning. But why the whole day, the whole night he could not sleep? Because of anxiety. Oh, why he asked me to come and meet him? What will happen? What will happen? What will happen? We don't know now. He was asked to come and meet the officer. Okay, you go and meet the officer, then you will know what happened. Then you will find out what you have to do. That's the only thing. But the whole night he does not sleep because of being anxious. He could not eat, he could not sleep, he could not eat. He feels something, some stirring in his stomach, all these things, nausea. Why? Because he got a message that he has to meet the officer of tax department. So this is called, this is an example, this is called Dhawarmanasya. Anxious mind. So, always anxious. What will happen? What will happen to me? What will happen to my family, my wife, children, all these things? What will happen? So this is one of another strong distraction for our mind. And there is one more thing explained in this aphorism, Angamejayatva. Anga means part of the body. We have so many parts in our body. Each part is called an Anga. So, Angamejayatva means you find some persons who, when you observe the person, constantly some part of the body will be moving. For example, he was asked to sit stable. But if he sits stable without moving, his limbs will get numb. So he has to move the limbs at a regular interval. After 10 minutes, he has to move, change his posture of sitting. Like this, so many people. So like this, when you observe the person, always he is fit. It is called a fidgety. Fidgety in feet and hands. Some persons you find, when they are thinking of something, when they are very anxious, without their knowledge, their legs always moving. You can observe some persons. They are sitting and constantly they move their legs even without their knowledge, without any intention. Automatically their legs. This is because their mind is anxious about something. Some people constantly biting the nails. When they are anxious, they keep biting or eating the nails. So always parts of his body keep moving. You cannot find the person without moving totally. So therefore, to avoid this, we require to make physical exercises every day. Yogasanas and all these things are prescribed to prevent such things. A regular practice of yogasanas and physical practices, they are required to prevent such things. And also asana on the level of mind. You know, in the 8 steps of yoga given by Patanjali, the third one, yama, niyama and asana. Fourth one is pranayama. So the asana there is not the physical posture, what is explained there. It is attaining stability in ease. That is asana. Your mind gets stable in ease. You are at ease. So, if stability is not there, then your mind gets this chitta vikshepa. Your mind will get this angame jayatva. This leads to sikta vikshepa. And then another distraction that is explained in this aphorism is swasa praswasa. That means your inhalation and exhalation. That means if you want to do your practice of yoga without practicing pranayama, that means if you do not regularly practice pranayama as explained previously several times, which is also explained by Patanjali. So through inhalation and exhalation. So if you do not practice this in your yoga practice, if you only practice other things, physical postures and other things, but not practicing pranayama, that means neutralizing the pulsations of inhalation and exhalation, then that will become a big obstacle. Because inhalation and exhalation are the 2 necessary processes. You cannot stop them. You are not expected to stop them. If you stop inhaling or exhaling, you will be confronting a danger for your life. So therefore, if you do not practice pranayama as explained scientifically, then what happens is that the inhalation and exhalation will become obstacle and they will distract your mind. Because this will lead to, when you do not practice pranayama and do not know how to make your inhalation and exhalation properly, then your mind will be distracted. Your mind cannot be stable unless you practice them. So therefore, when you practice this properly, then your mind will be in a relaxed condition. Relaxation is opposite to concentration. Concentration is not the proper process. That is very clearly explained in this Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Relaxation. Relax your mind into the higher plane. Relaxation is different from concentration. So that is what then, when you know these things and when you keep these things practicing, and by this practice, when you keep all these obstacles eliminated from your path, that is what he explained in that other aphorism, Antaraya Nirodha. That means stoppage of all the obstacles. Stopping the obstacles. Then you can experience the Lord presence which is there in you directly. All these things are explained in these aphorisms. So these are to be understood. And what he has explained in the other aphorisms as Isvara Pranidhana, total surrender to the Lord, and Tasya Vachaka Pranavaha, that means how to call him. You have to call him by name, Om, Pranava. And linking up your lower mind to the Lord consciousness. So these are all, these are the main aspect of this practice. These are like suppose when there is a temple, you have all the outer boundaries, outer walls, and then when you cross this, you get like this 5 boundaries, and then finally you enter Sanctum Sanctorum, where you have the Lord established there. So our body is the temple. You have the Lord consciousness, the presence of the Lord, I am Supreme Lord in you, in every one of us, who is there inside us. Lord consciousness, the real I am, is there. So that is the Sanctum Sanctorum, the inner part of the temple. Because our body is the temple. So like the temple, you have 5 enclosures, 5 planes. When you reach the innermost place, it is called Sanctum Sanctorum, the central part, inner part of the temple. So for that, so in these aphorisms also, this Ishvara Pranidhana, that means total surrender to the Lord, and Tasya Vachaka Pranavaha, the call to him is Pranava. So that aphorism and that Japastadadha Bhava, that means to contemplate upon the meaning of the Om that is you are uttering. So these are like the inner part of the temple around which he has built up these aphorisms which we have studied till now about the obstacles and distractions of mind which were explained. These are like the outer walls of the temple. So like this, Patanjali has given us, yes. So what Patanjali is giving us is, through these aphorisms, how we reach the Lord consciousness which is there as the indweller in us. That is the ultimate goal for this. So for this he has given all this structure to us, and how to practice, how to put in practice to enter the inner core, inner part of the temple within ourselves. So that is what is explained by him. So in our next aphorism, 32, there he explains what we have to, how we have to practice to prevent all these above mentioned obstacles and distractions of mind. What we have to practice, that is explained in aphorism 32, which we will take up in our next class. Vasudeva. Thank you all, and we will meet next week. And meanwhile, we will try to contemplate upon what we have been studying in these aphorisms. Vasudeva. Swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishyah go brahmanebhyah subhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu loka samasta sukhino bhavantu loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vasudeva. Vasudeva. Vasudeva.